Yes, people, Manscaped is back, but this time it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of gradient settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.
How are we doing, people? Hope you are all well. Good morning to you all. Good morning to everyone in the chat box. Good morning to everybody watching the catch up. Good afternoon and evening to those that are watching around the world. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all enjoying what has been a very sunny Great Britain over the last couple of days. So please make sure you are careful out there. The summer is here. Thank goodness. Yesterday was absolutely boiling. And I spent most of it indoors, to be honest. But a lot of people I've been speaking to have been doing the same. They're like, oh, it's too hot. Always moaning in Britain, aren't we? We're always saying it's too cold, then it's too hot. So yeah, listen, it's going to be a warm one. I believe it's supposed to get cooler at some point, but for now, it's going to be pleasant again today from what I can see. So make sure you enjoy it. Do me a favor, people. Make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure that you hit subscribe. And of course, make sure that you check out Manscaped. All you've got to do is click on the pinned comments. It will take you straight to their website. Make sure you select the Beard Hedger and 20% will come straight off of it. The best beard trimmers that you will get. Make sure that you either treat yourself, treat your father, treat your grandfather, treat your brother, treat your friend, whoever it is that needs as a birthday or early Christmas present, of course, because that'll be coming around before we know it. Trust me. People will speak about it in the next couple of months. All of the supermarkets will have everything out. So please make sure that you do show them some love for the sponsors, Manscaped. Right. Let's make sure we subscribe. We're getting very, very close to 30K. We're creeping up towards it. We're going to be talking today about Arsenal. We're going to be talking about West Ham. We're going to be talking about Tottenham, Chelsea, all going to Newcastle. Going to be spoken about this morning. We've also got some news on Fulham, and we've got some news around Europe as well, sort of around Europe anyway. So we can talk about that also. Good morning to everybody that is in the chat box showing some love. Good morning to Mike, Emerson. Morning to me mum. Morning Guna 49. Excuse me. Robin, Will, Adam, Steve. Oh, mate, on your way to Portugal with Fulham. Big up and good luck to you, mate. Good morning to Chazza. Hope you're well, bruv. Sarah, Carol, Sam. Who else have we got? Greeny Man, Mustafa, Shasha, Vishra, Craig, Jared, Richie Boy, Ray. Morning, mate. Hope you're well, bruv. Daniel and True Nemesis Prime. I mean, fantastic name. And good morning to everyone else who's watching that isn't in the chat room, but also that are watching live. Big up to you all. We're going to get into it. There's a lot to talk about today. A lot of it involving Arsenal as well, which of course we always leave to the end. And we're going to start with a player who actually is linked with Arsenal along with a few other clubs, and that is Adrien Rabiot. That is the first piece of news that we are going to talk about today. Arsenal, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid all interested in the 29-year-old French midfielder Adrien Rabiot. He is a free agent after leaving Juventus. Now, Manchester United and Liverpool have been spoken about as well. And Manchester United the other day were in pole position. But Arsenal, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid have also shown interest. 29 years old, experienced head at Juventus and PSG. Not a player that I can't lie to you that I absolutely love. Hear bad stories about, his attitude and also the fact that his mother has got involved in most of his business and caused a lot of drama for him. But he's not a bad footballer. I've never sat there and thought he was a poor footballer. It's just a player that I would not like. I personally feel like Arsenal can do a lot better. I understand that he's free and he's experienced, and at 29, you're not really going to get a free transfer much better than Adrien Rabiot. I can see Manchester United going for this player. I really can. Now, if Real Madrid are serious about him, he'll obviously go there. But the Real Madrid really need Adrien Rabiot. I mean, they've got Valverde, they've got Tchouameni, they've got Camavinga, they've got Jude Bellingham, they've still got Modric. Do they really need Rabiot? I don't think so. Atletico Madrid makes sense because Simeone's the sort of manager that can probably get the best out of him. Manchester United, I think it's a huge risk, if I'm honest, because I think potentially that toxic dressing room they're trying to remove, somebody like that could potentially add to that in a negative way. But I personally don't see how this would be a bad signing for someone but attitude-wise, he's not really for me. And I understand why people rate him and don't rate him. I get the understanding of the fact that he's not really got or managed to narrow down a proper position, but I think he is more of a box-to-box midfielder than anything. I definitely believe he's got ability. There's no question in that. France international. Remember when Arsene Wenger looked at him years ago when he was really young, 18, 19, and then said, no, don't like something about his attitude. Let's see if Mikel Arteta fancies Adrien Rabiot, but I personally would be surprised if we went in for him. That's for sure. Let's move to a player that is definitely leaving this summer, but where is he going to go? Romelu Lukaku. He is definitely leaving Chelsea. Chelsea have finished with him. And Aston Villa have reached a deal with Chelsea for the Belgium striker Lukaku. But the 31-year-old wants to join Antonio Conte at Napoli. So there's a lot of rumours about Osimhen, isn't there, that this is going to get done and there's a swap deal that's going to happen. Romelu Lukaku is going to go over to Napoli, and on loan the other way is Osimhen. Now, there's also rumours suggesting that Osimhen is actually not 100% set on Chelsea. Now, I don't know how true that is. They're only rumours and reports. And it doesn't sound like Osimhen wants to go on loan with an option to buy. It looks like he wants to go permanently somewhere. But Romelu Lukaku is definitely the name that Antonio Conte wants at Napoli. And Lukaku is the guy that wants to have his heart set on a move to Napoli. Now, it's not because he loves Napoli. It's because he loves Antonio Conte. And that is why he is being linked there. Now, if they can't get a deal the other way with Osimhen, which I still think they probably can, looking at how things can work still with the time left in the window, then I think they'll probably still go for Osimhen, if I'm honest, because Lukaku leaving, they need a striker anyway. They've literally not got a good enough striker, in my opinion, Chelsea. Nicholas Jackson isn't a finisher that I look at and go, wow, in front of goal, he's poor and weak. And Kunku hasn't been fit enough to be able to be their striker. Cole Palmer could probably be the best option if they were desperate. But for me, he's more of a winger or a 10. So they need a striker, man. It's clear to see, Chelsea. You know, they really do. And I think the one they want is Osimhen. So let's see if it happens. Moving on from a player who was at Chelsea, but is no longer at Chelsea and is actually at Brighton, but it does link to Napoli. Billy Gilmour is a player that apparently Napoli have made an offer for, or at least are ready to make an offer for. They prepared an offer of around about 12 million euros, which is just over 10 million pounds. He's 23 now, Billy Gilmour. Brighton and Scotland midfielder. They are waiting for players to leave the club before making it. So, obviously, Napoli have suggested that as well as Lukaku, they want Billy Gilmour as well. And I always thought he was going to be better than he actually has been. When he was at Chelsea, I looked at him anchoring that midfield and I thought, yeah, you look a little bit special. Like everything's going through you. You're clearly confident on the ball. It just hasn't worked out for him since he's moved over to Brighton, which I thought was going to potentially work for him, but it just hasn't. And I personally know people think he's a good player, but maybe he does need a new challenge. And Conte sees him over there. Maybe was he managed under Conte? Maybe he was. Maybe Conte, when he was at Chelsea, managed him and liked what he saw. But yeah, strange one. But Napoli interested. Not a lot of money, is it? 10 to 12 million pounds. Really not a lot of money. So let's see if this one has any legs. Billy Gilmour looks like he could be on his way out of Brighton to Napoli. So let's see if this one has any legs. Let's move to Fulham, who are very interested in a couple of players. They look to be signing Nketiah, obviously the centre-half from Villarreal, and they're going to put another bid in for Scott McTominay, it seems. This one, I think, I don't know, something tells me that this is probably going to happen. It seems to be just too much now. Like there's too many rumours. But Fulham, apparently they've made another bid for Scott McTominay. That's according to the Daily Mail, offering 23 million for the Man United midfielder. Now, they made a bid that was around about 20, I believe, or just under 20. Manchester United said they wanted double that. They're trying to get 40. Now, I understand that they understand they're not going to get 40, but I understand why they're trying to ask for a lot of money, just so they know that they can then get the best that they can or the best deal that they can for the midfielder. Now, I don't think he's worth anything more than what they've offered. I honestly don't. I think 25 million is absolutely good money for Scott McTominay, a player who, let's be real, comes in and does a job, doesn't lead Man United forward. It doesn't really, in my opinion, replace Paulinho from Fulham. It doesn't take Fulham forward. So if they do go for Scott McTominay, I personally feel like that is definitely a good deal for all round. Getting good money for him, Fulham getting a player that's experienced, that can replace Paulinho at least, but not really in terms of quality. I think this one probably just needs to get done now, if I'm honest with you. And I think Man United definitely look at him and think, you're not one for our future. What I will say is if Manchester United do get rid of him, they've got rid of a player who always gives 110%. They've got rid of a player who would be proud to wear the shirt and give his all for the team. I think what they'd need to do then is they'd actually need to look at their midfield, because for me, if Rabiot's coming in, then that adds to Rabiot, Kobe Mainu, Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, and they're going to need one more. And I believe, in my opinion, it will probably be Ugarte as soon as Neves is done. I think he will go the other way from PSG to Manchester United. So Man United will have an all right midfield there, to be fair. So there we go. That's where I'm at. Sticking with Fulham, I know they've signed a centre-half, or are signing a centre-half in Nketiah from Villarreal, but this is looking likely. Diego Carlos from Aston Villa. Fulham are not only in advanced talks to sign Cuenca, 24 years old, 7 million, I think they've said, but they're also looking at this guy as well. And it looks as if they are massively interested in him. Now, I don't know if Aston Villa are willing to sell Diego Carlos. They've obviously got Tyrone Mings, who's come back. They've still got Pau Torres. They've still got Konza, who's there. There is one more that I've missed as well that I wish Billy was here to tell me. But they have got centre-halves, Aston Villa, and I don't know that they're linked with any. So they're going to need some cover. Diego Carlos has not really settled down, has he, at Aston Villa? You know, when he was signed, everyone thought, oh, that's a good signing. He's a monster. I never really got it, if I'm honest. I've never quite understood if that was going to be a good signing or not. So they're looking at centre-halves, Fulham. We obviously know that they have let Tosin go over to Chelsea. So it looks as if they're trying to replace him. And Diego Carlos is a player that they're interested in. Would Aston Villa be willing to sell him? Well, Tyrone Mings being back is going to be an interesting one, because obviously he's been injured for most of last season. I don't know if we're going to see the best of him again, but Diego Carlos is a player that Fulham are looking at. So let's see what Aston Villa are interested in doing. Let's go to some of the biggest of the breaking news this morning, is that Spurs are interested in going all out for Dominic Solanke. And it seems as if this is the player that they really want. They're set to move for him. I think Bournemouth are probably looking at doing all they can to keep him. If I'm honest, if they got rid of him, I think it would be a really bad bit of business for him. Really bad move. But the Daily Express is suggesting that Tottenham are set to move for the Bournemouth striker, who, let's be real, had a fantastic season last season. He was absolutely phenomenal. Like, he really was. So I do feel like this could be a really, really good signing, and one that I believe would take Tottenham forward. Now, Spurs need a striker, don't they? Let's just be real. Spurs need a striker. For me, I don't know if Son is going to be their guy up top. Richarlison is going to be their guy up top. But they ain't going to replace Kane. For me, if they got somebody like him, I think they could. Ivan Toney, even Tammy Abraham, Dominic Solanke, somebody like that coming in is going to add quality to Spurs' front line, in my opinion. And Dominic Solanke, to be fair, is probably the one that would probably excite a lot of fans, as well as Ivan Toney. Now, Tottenham, they are linked with good players. And the players that they're linked with, Eze, Neto, Toney, now Solanke, would all be great signings. If they was to get 2 or 3 of them, I honestly think they can get Champions League, for sure. I think they could push for that 3rd place. I honestly do. And I hate saying that as a Gooner, but it's true. They could. They could have a good window. Now, if they get Neto, they get Eze, which I don't think they will. They get Toney, which I'm not sure if he is going to go anywhere at the moment. Then Tottenham have got a very good 11. Very good 11. You add Maddison to that. You add Son to that. You had Bissouma to that. You had Archie Gray, which is brought in as well. And then you look at their back line, which has always been quite good, to be fair, with Porro and Udogie, and then obviously Van der Ven and Romero, with Vicario in goal. Tottenham need to build a squad. Tottenham need to build a squad. They've got a good 11. They need to build a squad, in my opinion. And Solanke would be perfect for that. 100%. I'm a fan. I always have been a fan of him, really. Never thought he was going to quite hit the heights, but you have to say, like, fair play, because he has been a good player for them. That's for sure. He really has. And I've always rated what he's done at Bournemouth. I mean, he didn't really make it, did he? Liverpool and Chelsea wasn't really a great time for him. I think it's fair to say. So let's see what happens there. It'll be interesting. That's for sure. Let's move towards Europe because there is a couple of bits of news. Wrong one. Dovbyk. We all know what Dovbyk did at Girona, but Roma have apparently agreed a deal to sign the Ukrainian striker. He's 27. It's about £30 million, just under. AC Milan are now interested in Tammy Abraham, and therefore they are going to go and get Dovbyk. Now, Dovbyk is a player that I actually would have looked at Arsenal. Scoring a ridiculous amount of goals for Girona. Looked one of their best players, along with Savio and along with they got the other wing. I can't remember his name now. Oh, dear me. Saigankov, is it? On the other side. So for me, this would be a good bit of business. It really would. For getting for that much as well is an absolute steal, to be fair, for a guy that's in his prime now and that's really tore the La Liga up in terms of what Girona were about the season just gone. So it looks like this one is going to happen. I know Arsenal were actually sniffing around him, and a few Arsenal fans that I know were really interested in Arsenal going for Dovbyk as the striker ahead of Ivan Toney or Gyökeres or Osimhen. So let's see how he does over at Roma. Very, very interested to see that, because for me, a lot of the praise from Girona is going on the manager. And I think we're going to see now when some of these players leave, because that's always going to happen. Team like Girona get good, people are going to nick their players. How good are the players going to be? Or is it just that the manager has got the best out of them? And I'm really interested to see how good this Jean-Michel, is it, that manages Girona? Let's see how good he is. I don't know if it's Mikel or Michel or however you say his name. So I'm really interested to see what happens there. So that's that bit of news. There is also reports in the Telegraph from Newcastle, who apparently are looking at the young Sheffield United centre-forward, William Osulu, Danish striker, £10 million. He's the 20-year-old centre-forward. And apparently they're in advanced talks, Newcastle, for him. Now, it looks to me as if Callum Wilson's probably going to leave then. If that's the case, or they're going to bring him in as third choice, and Callum Wilson will stay as the second choice behind Alexander Isak. We know that Alexander Isak is injury prone. We know that Callum Wilson is injury prone. So maybe they're looking at just a little bit of younger, fresher legs with a little bit of prospect that can come in as an absolute desperation third choice if Wilson and Isak were to get injured. But there have been reports suggesting throughout most of this window that Callum Wilson might be leaving. So it looks like that one is going to get done. So, yeah, watch what happens next with this guy. I don't know much about him. I don't remember him playing too much for Sheffield United last season. So he's obviously one of their hot prospects. I think Cameron Archer was playing most of Sheffield United's games up top. And then obviously they've got McBurney as well. But this guy is someone that Newcastle have highlighted. So let's see what happens here. Newcastle, I think, are going to be interesting. I really do, because I feel personally like they have got a lot to give still. And I think Newcastle, with one game a week and all of their players back, I think they could easily push for Champions League. So I think it's going to be very interesting indeed. Let's talk about this one, because Dani Olmo looks like he is on his way out of Leipzig. However, they are rejecting bids from Barcelona for the 26-year-old Spanish international. Dani Olmo, I think, wants to move. I think would like to go to Barcelona, and Barcelona would like him. But apparently they're not bidding enough at the moment. And Leipzig are looking to reject a second bid that's coming in for Dani Olmo. Now, if you realise they had a release clause of about 50 million euros, they're now trying to put in bids below that. They're not going to accept it. They're going to say, look, he was 50 million. That means he's now, without a release clause, he's going to be around about 45, 50. I imagine this will probably get done. I think it will probably help that Nico Williams is no longer leaving. It looks like he's going to stay at Athletic Club for another season and then look to go to Barcelona. So that one could be very interesting. So watch what happens there. But I feel personally like it will happen. And I do think that Dani Olmo will have his heart set on Barcelona, and potentially there will be an opportunity for him to go. So I expect that one to probably happen. So let's see what happens with Dani Olmo. Let's talk about West Ham, because West Ham at the moment are looking at not just a double and treble swoop, and it looks like all three could be on the cards. Now, Wan-Bissaka is one that they're looking at, and that is definitely a player that they've looked at for a while. For sure, they'd be interested in trying to negotiate a deal with Manchester United. If Manchester United, of course, are interested in playing ball. Now, we know that Man United are trying to get Mazraoui. It looks like he's probably going to be on his way, and it's been green lighted. But they have agreed personal terms with Wan-Bissaka of West Ham. He's 26 years old now, but they're yet to agree a fee with United. They want 18 million rather than the 10 million that's being offered. Well, that's going to get done, isn't it? They're going to meet in the middle around about between 14 and 15 million. And I think that one could get done. I think he's a great one-on-one defender, but doesn't matter for much else. I think West Ham are going to look at this opportunity and they're going to go for it. And they're going to upgrade on Soufal, who, let's be real, has had a good run at West Ham, but he's coming to the end, in my opinion. And Wan-Bissaka will be an upgrade in that position. So I think that is a good signing. But they're not done yet, West Ham. They are not done yet. They are trying to go in for double swoop for Somerville, who I think would be a really good player. 22 years old, easily one of the Championship best players, easily Leeds' best player. I think this is a very, very good signing. The Dutch forward can play on both wings. He can play in the 10 and he can play in the number 9. Not the tallest, but definitely one of the silkiest. And for me, technically gifted. So I think that is going to add what is already fairly strong with Bowen and Kudus. I think he's going to come in and definitely allow some rotation between those players because they can't play every game. The other player they're linked with is a striker. And that, of course, is Niklas Füllkrug. Now, Füllkrug has been very well known at Dortmund this season. He was well known in Germany in the Euros. He's 31 years old, and they are closing in on the double signing of the Dortmund striker and the Dutch forward from Leeds, Somerville. That would be a brilliant window for West Ham. If they can get Somerville, Wan-Bissaka, Gilmour, and Füllkrug, they're also linked, I believe, in the middle with a midfielder as well. And I can't remember who it was now. There's somebody they were linked with in the middle of midfield. Oh, it's going to kill me. Who was it? Can't even remember. But they're linked with a midfielder as well. Tim Stainton and Lopetegui, they're not mucking around. They ain't mucking around. That's all I'll say. That is all I'll say. West Ham, fair play. They're going for it. They really are. So, yeah, let's see if there is an opportunity for West Ham to get these players across the line. I personally feel that there's an opportunity for it, and I think that they could do. So watch this space, man, because West Ham are not mucking around. Before we move to Arsenal, I should have done this before already because it is linked with Newcastle. But there are still reports, albeit not very heavy reports, loose reports, suggesting that Anthony Gordon is very eager to join Liverpool if the chance arises this summer. Now, they're the only real big player that Liverpool have been linked with. They do want a left winger because they want Luis Diaz to be removed from the club. They don't think he's good enough. Obviously, they've still got Cody Gakpo, I imagine, will play there, or Nunez, who will play there. But Liverpool, I'm not going to lie to you, other than Salah and Jota, I'm not too sure they've got much else. I don't think Darwin Núñez is a 9. I don't think that Diaz is best at left. So Anthony Gordon coming in would actually be a phenomenal signing. If they had Salah, Gordon and Jota, Liverpool would have a brilliant front three. They'd have an absolute killer in the box and two of the silkiest on the wing. So for me, if this happens, I think Liverpool should be very, very happy. However, I do not see Newcastle selling him for anything less than crazy money. I think we'd be talking 90 million, something mad like that. So that for me, I just do not see happening. I really don't. I'll be absolutely stunned and amazed if that was the case. So I don't think Anthony Gordon's going anywhere. I think he's staying at Newcastle. I'll be absolutely amazed if this one happens. So I don't think that is going to be something that will be potentially on the cards. But something that does look like it's going to potentially be on the cards is Arsenal's move for Mikel Merino. This one looks like it is going to happen, people. So get as excited as you want. Arsenal are in the process of finalising the signing of Mikel Merino and have submitted a verbal proposal worth 25 million plus bonuses, so around about 30 million euros in total. The sources suggest that the bid is considered acceptable, even if a total agreement is yet to have been reached. What that means is Arsenal are preparing it. They're looking at that, which they believe will be acceptable, but it's not properly been finalised yet. There's also reports from Romano and others suggesting that Merino is understood to be excited by the prospect of joining Arsenal, and following private discussions with Mikel Arteta, the manager's presented a detailed plan to the player about where he fits into his vision and tactical setup. So that one I expect to get done by the end of next week. I wouldn't have thought that it would go far into next week anyway. So that's what I believe. I think he would be a good fit at Arsenal. I think that Arteta sees him as the number 8, not the number. Declan Rice is the number 6 now, not the number 8. Although Rice can play there, let's be real. And it might be that we start the season with Partey, Rice and Odegaard. It might be that happens. And then Merino is moulded in. I'd be surprised if all of them are just chucked in straight away, particularly without a pre-season. So you can't do that. As much as Merino is the new signing, Calafiori is the new signing. If they're not going to get minutes, and Calafiori still could, by the way, because we've obviously got 2 games at the Emirates before pre-season starts, then I expect them to be moulded in. So Mikel Merino, I think it's going to happen, people. Adrien Rabiot, obviously linked to Arsenal as well. I can't see that one. A lot of people suggesting we need 2 players in midfield. I think if we was to get a versatile attacking 8/10, I think would be okay. Because then we'd have Rice, we'd have that player I've mentioned, and Merino, and then we'd have Rice, Jorginho and Partey in the 6. So that could be very interesting indeed. Next summer, though, we're going to need a 6 because Partey and Jorginho are going to be gone. So, but let's concentrate on this summer. That's for sure. Let's talk about Reiss Nelson, because I did say that it had kind of stalled with Leicester. It still has. There's no real progression with that one. It doesn't look like Reiss Nelson is a player that's on his way to Leicester imminently, but they know the deal. It's a loan with an obligation to buy, from what we understand, and Arsenal are reportedly trying to get 25 million. Now, Leicester don't want to pay that, and if I'm honest, I can understand why. He's not played much football, but he is a talent. He is someone that would do well at Leicester with first-team football. He can play both wings, so he's versatile. But also, I think he's probably 15, 20 million pounds. If they was to offer 15 rising to 20 with a loan with an obligation, I think Arsenal would accept it. And if they want him that badly, then I think they'll get him, if I'm honest with you. Reports on AFC stuff from Ryan Taylor Sports saying that Arsenal are working in the transfer market. It's by no means over. If they land Merino, Arteta and Edu still remain open to strengthening in both attack and a wide player. This remains of great appeal to Arsenal, though any deal could be dependent on the future of Reiss Nelson. So Reiss Nelson, they are trying to sell, and once he is allowed to leave, I expect we'll see us linked heavily with wide players and potentially an attacker. Fingers crossed. I said there's 2 more we need after Calafiori and Merino. I believe Eze and Gyökeres are those 2 guys, or Ivan Toney. I would still take him. Yes, I would, although I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're the 2 positions that we need. Eze is versatile, can play wing and 8 and 10. And obviously Gyökeres is that striker that upgrades on Havertz and Jesus. So that's what I would be doing. But it might be that we need to sell. And the next one that we're trying to get rid of is Eddie Nketiah. Now, there are reports suggesting overnight that he is close to joining Marseille. The club have apparently now made an improved offer to Arsenal, which is rumoured to be around 26 million, and it includes a £3 million add-on. While the player has been offered huge wages, the transfer is described as imminent by Team Talk. Now, if you believe that, I would accept it. 26 million with 3 million rising with add-ons, that is a very, very good deal, I would say. I don't think that is anything to be rolling your eyes at or raising your eyebrows at. That, for me, is something that needs to happen. Sammy Mockbell is saying, from the Daily Mail, is saying that Arsenal value Eddie Nketiah at 30 million and Marseille's current offer for the player is deemed too low. Now, if there's rumours and reports suggesting that they offered 17 million, I can understand why it's too low, personally. I get why they believe that is too low. I don't think that is acceptable at all. I think it's absolutely crazy, if I'm honest. But I don't think 25 million can be looked at and saying it's crazy. I know some other players are going for more. I get it. But Eddie Nketiah is on 100k a week. They've got to try and afford his wages, and then they've got to try and get a deal done with Arsenal. And Marseille, we know, are not rich like Premier League clubs are. So I can understand why they're trying to negotiate this down. I do. And if I'm honest with you, he ain't good enough. Like, let's just be real. We're not talking about selling Ian Wright here. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I see it. There's other reports suggesting that it might be able to be agreed now, and lots coming in saying that this one probably will get done to Marseille. And what's good is Eddie wants to go. He's agreed personal terms. De Zerbi really wants him. As long as Arsenal play ball and as long as they play ball, there's a good relationship between Marseille and Arsenal. There always has been. We've had players over there that have gone on. We know that Guendouzi's gone there, that William Saliba's gone there, that Ntavage has gone there, Kolasinac has gone there. We've got players over there that have gone on there to do well. So for me, I think the relationship has always been pretty good, and I expect this one to happen. So Eddie Nketiah to Arsenal, I think will be announced. That will be a here we go within the coming days. Nelson, I think, will probably get his move to Leicester or a club like that. And then we can go in for our winger and our striker. So Nelson will be upgraded and Eddie would be upgraded. That would be phenomenal. I don't think Arsenal can sell Eddie and then not get a replacement. I don't rate Eddie, but he was used quite a lot last season. He was scoring goals for Sheffield United. He was coming on in League Cup games, Champions League games, FA Cup games. For me, Eddie Nketiah was used. That means we're going to need a third choice striker. So for me, I think it might happen. I think it might have to as well, to be fair. The player that we are linked with in a shock midfielder link today isn't Adrien Rabiot, which I was a little bit shocked about, but it's Morgan Gibbs-White. Now, there are suggestions and reports that Arsenal were interested in the player. Always liked him, I've got to say. Always liked him. Thought he was good at Wolves. Thought he's been even better at Forest. Big fan of him. And apparently we're showing keen interest. Now, they want about £50 million for him, which, to be fair, would actually be cheaper than potentially going in for Eze. And I'm a fan of Morgan Gibbs-White, but can Gibbs-White play across the front three? Can he play across the midfield three? I think he can, but Eze is definitely a next level in my opinion. I think Morgan Gibbs-White has got potential still to be a very good player, but I'm not too sure that this one will be a great signing. I think it'll be a good signing. I think he'll come in to replace Smith-Rowe. I like him. I think he's a decent talent, but I do prefer Eze. And I think if we was to pay that little bit more, if he's going to be 50 and Eze is going to be 60, I'd rather pay the extra 10 million and get Eze. Nottingham Forest want to keep him. Apparently, there's rumours today suggesting that they do not want to get rid of him at all. They are not looking to cash in on the English midfielder Morgan Gibbs-White, who's now 24, despite interest from Arsenal. There's also other clubs interested. Newcastle are very interested. Chelsea, surprise, are very interested. And Aston Villa, which I find very bizarre because they are literally signing everybody at the moment. But they are the clubs that are interested in Morgan Gibbs-White. There's no shock or surprise for me that Morgan Gibbs-White is being linked with a move away. I personally would not look at this and think this is a bad signing. I think Arsenal get this player. It could be a very, very good move. However, I don't know how true the rumours are. I think we are definitely looking at Pedro Neto, Eze, and now Morgan Gibbs-White in that position. There's also rumours, of course, we've reported the last couple of days that Arsenal are interested in the situation with Leroy Sané. So who do we want, guys? Let me know in the chat. If you had to buy one winger, who would you want? Would it be Leroy Sané? Would it be Pedro Neto? Would it be Morgan Gibbs-White? Or would it be Eze? If you're looking at that kind of versatility. Because all of them can play centrally as well. So which one do you think would be the best? Just throw me a name, in the chat. You've got Sané, who's experienced, which someone's gone for. Cello has gone for. You've got Morgan Gibbs-White, Pedro Neto, and Eze that have all shown Premier League proven quality. That's for sure. So let's see what happens. Someone's put Kudus. That would be amazing. I'd absolutely love that. But I don't think that's going to happen. Neto taking a risk. Kudus, Eze and Kudus. I mean, Kudus would be fantastic. But I think that's next summer, if I'm honest, if anyone wants him, because the release clause comes in next summer, not this summer. Eze or Kudus. Neto's taking a risk. I'm taking the risk. Fair play. I like Neto a lot. Eze, Sané for me personally, Kudus, Eze, Sané 100%, Eze for sure, Eze, wanted Elise, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I did as well, but that's not going to happen. So Eze, I think, has won that. Reason I like Eze, I'll say this now. Eze is not just a right winger like Elise was. Eze will come in and be right, left 8, attacking 10. That means if Ødegaard gets a knock, Eze comes in. If Saka needs a rest, Eze comes in. If we're struggling on the left, which I don't think we will with Martinelli and Trossard, but he can play there. And if we do need a left that's 8, that's going to give us a little bit more attacking threat, maybe we've got a game at home against Southampton or Ipswich Town and we want to go a little bit more extra, I think Eze could go in and do that role with Rice sitting as the 6. That's my opinion. I think he'd be a phenomenal signing. And for £60 million, I really don't think that's a lot of money. And I know people will think that is, but we paid 65 for Havertz. And for me, Eze is more of an exciting signing than Havertz. That's for sure. So that's where I'm at. Let's go for some super chats because Netweed's been putting in showing some love. Much appreciate, bro. Always a regular listener. And I always love your opinions because they're very different to others and you're not afraid to say how you feel. So big up yourself, my bro. It says, if Spurs get Solanke, it's proof that Arteta doesn't care. Well, I don't know if it's proof that Arteta doesn't care. I don't think Solanke is the best option at striker for Arsenal. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's the one that goes and wins us the league. I think potentially Ivan Toney would be a bit better shout than him. And I also think that Dovbyk would have been a better shout. And I actually think that Gyökeres will be a better shout as well. I like Solanke, who deserves respect. He's been a very good player for Bournemouth. Also, you've thrown in a super chat to say, since 2012, we've had 2 players who've scored over 20 league goals in a season. Alexis Sanchez and Aubameyang. Is that right? And did they stay? Let that sink in. No, well, we know why Aubameyang left. We know why Sanchez left. Sanchez actually regretted it. I don't blame them for leaving, if I'm honest. Sanchez, Van Persie, Fabregas. I've always said this. I don't blame them for leaving because if your ambition does not match the club's ambition, or if the club's ambition does not match yours, should I say, then you've got to go. You've got to go and win trophies. And let's be honest, that's what they did. Van Persie, Fabregas, Nasri, Cliche, the list goes on. They all did. You've also said, talking to Ryan, you have bad ball knowledge. Okay, let's calm down. Taking away strikers removes options in games like Villagate will happen. The spread around show hasn't worked. It hasn't worked to get us across the line yet. It has worked to score goals, Netweed, that's for sure. Can you believe people like Igal said give Eddie a chance? Oh, Arsenal fans, the more you know. These Emotion FC fans will destroy our club. Now, I don't know if Igal did say that. I've no idea. But what I will say is those that say keep Eddie, keep Nelson, wanted to badly keep Smith-Rowe, you've got to let that go. Now, you've got to let that go. They were good to get us Champions League football. We want to win a title. So we've got to move them on. So I'm with you there. Affection FC fans weeping for Eddie are. Look, they're not all doing that. I think there's an opportunity for us to actually look at upgrading now, and that's exactly what we have to do. The other player I wanted to quickly mention was someone that Sello's just brought up, which is Maximilian Bier. I don't know anything about this guy, but they're saying from Leverkusen that he's good. I think he was on loan at Hoffenheim, was it, where he's been scoring? I don't know enough about him to believe that he'd be a good talent. I think he'd be a massive risk, but I don't know any enough forward that wouldn't be a risk. I really don't. Like for me, I really do not see a striker that guarantees Arsenal get across the line other than Alexander Isak. He's the only one. Let's take this up from Henry, who says Neto is injury prone, so no. Eze is versatile and young, so yes. Gibbs White is a utility player, so no. Rabiot, worn out, not young anymore, huge wages, no. Sane, prime years gone, huge wages, no. So basically, mate, you want Eze. Fair play to you, and you've backed up why you want Eze. So there we go. Let's see what happens there. I think we're going to leave it there, people. Keep your eye on what happens with Mikel Merino. That is the guy that is going to potentially come into Arsenal next. And then I think we're going to be linked with 2 more. Depending on what happens with Reiss Nelson and Eddie Nketiah, I believe if Reiss Nelson and Eddie Nketiah go, then we will get a winger and a striker. And I hope and pray that happens. Now, I don't know who the striker is going to be. It might be someone we come in for. We might go and bid for Osimhen, or we might go and bid for Solanke, or we might go and bid for Ollie Watkins. I've absolutely no idea. It might be Tony or Gyökeres, or it might be nobody. We definitely do want a wide player. And I think that if we were to get any of them, that's the player that we would 100% get over a striker. And that's crazy for me because I actually think it's the other way around. I think that if you've got a striker and you use Jesus to cover for Saka, we'd actually be okay. So that's what I'm on. That's what I'm looking at. That's for sure. So yeah, it will be very interesting. That's for sure. Somebody wants me to read their chats. He's getting very aggressive in the chat. Lord Rodney Trotter, read my chats, you fraud. That's not how you ask to have your chats read, mate. So anyway, listen, people, do me a favor. Make sure you hit a like. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure that you are sharing the content and make sure you're telling everybody about it. Make sure also that you do me a favor and check out Manscaped. Make sure you click on the pinned comment. It will take you straight to the website now. You can get 20% off of the Beard Hedger. They are fantastic beard trimmers. Yes, we're talking about the beard, nothing else. I know Manscaped are known for that, but not this time. I will be back later on this evening. I have got a fantastic early evening show at 5 p.m. with, yes, you've guessed it, Lawless and Tobes. It is going to go off. So please make sure you do that. If you do not check out last night's show, then please make sure you do. Oh my word. I didn't think it was going to end. It went off and off and off and off and off between Liverpool fan Tom and, of course, Don from Chelsea, talking about why Liverpool and Chelsea have better squads than each other. And it went off. My goodness, it went off. So please make sure that you check that one out. I'll see you at 5 o'clock. It will be a great show. I will not let you down. Trust me. Lawless and Tobes, it's been too long. We'll see you then. Take it easy. See you at 5. Make sure you check out Manscaped. Hit the like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Big up, people.
Yes, people, Manscaped is back. But this time, it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of radiant settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.